So some of you probably don't have a clue in the world who I am, and that's fine. I like it that way. But I want to tell you what I think about these days. I think God may want to do something to surprise both of us. I don't know if I'm not a real big fan of throwing a fleece out to the Lord. I've had some amazing things happen when I did. That's just basically saying, God, if this is really you, then make that red light turn green. Well, they normally turn green, at least in Orlando. I don't know about here. So, when I got in the car this morning, I always have a pre-worship kind of music to get me ready for worship. And so my phone, I started it. And while I was listening to this song, I said, Lord, I would love for you to confirm that you want me here and you want to do something special. God, if they could sing that song this morning. And it's not a song that maybe you sing a lot, or we don't sing it a lot. We do sing it, but we don't sing it a lot. And a minute ago, you sang it. And I literally had chills. How great thou art. I listened to that song driving right by the church. Well, whichever way. Where's the street? Out there? Yeah. I was lost, but yeah, out there. I listened to that song as I went by this church. I said, God, man, I just want you to show up, and I want you to show us how great you are. And I believe that God is going to do that. That's never happened. That's kind of one of those weird things. But I want to start by telling you that because I do believe God's up to something. Now, my format, what I love doing, revival is we don't see that word a lot anymore. We don't use that word a lot for meetings at the church like we used to. But I would just like to say, just if we could encounter him and just see something that we needed to see about us and something about him and maybe what he wants to do through us. So you call it whatever you want. It's going to be a conversation. I didn't come to yell at you. I'm not mad at anybody. Well, LSU needs a coach, but other than that, that's about it. And yes, I am still a diehard LSU fan, right in the middle of Gator country, and right in the middle of Florida State and the Miami Hurricanes, who used to be a really promising team. But anyway, enough of that. I digress. I really wanted to come back here. So when I drove around this morning early, I'm still on Eastern time, so it's early. When I get up, it just took me down some memory lane of what God's done in my life here, what he's done across the street over at the campus. I think it's called now Louisiana Christian College? University? Excuse me, I'll get it right. I'll figure it out. We just knew it as LC back in the day. And how I don't know. I said, God, could you do this again? I don't want to repeat of what's happened before because you'll understand this in just a second. But I want God to take us to a new place. I bring you greetings from the land of Mickey Mouse and Shamu and whatever Universal's got. Mario, that's the guy. It's a crazy place, and it's a busy place. But I tell you, God's doing great things. I left this state in 2005, and I felt like I'd left home. It still feels like home when I come back. And I look for great crawfish places down there. They don't have as many, but I have learned something. God is moving wherever he chooses to move. And it doesn't take a big place and a big church for God to do big things. It just takes people who believe he is a big God and who are willing for him to move. And so for me, coming back, it's got a sweetness to it that I get to see people that I've known in the past, and your pastor and his family. Man, I love Stuart. I love what God is doing through him. I just like the man that he is, and I've spent time with him before, been here to speak at things. One of the closest friends I ever had in the world flew me down here once to speak at an event for the association, and he sat right over there. He's a pilot on the big electric company in West Monroe. And it wasn't long after that event, he crashed and killed himself in the plane. And he was one of the best I ever had. I walked in a minute ago and I saw him sitting over there. I know one day I'll see him. So there are a lot of good things about memories. But can I be honest with you? If all we got is memories, we don't have much. In fact, if all you've got memories, you need a different God. Because the God I serve and the God I read about, his mercies are new today. Remember not the former things, according to Isaiah 43. Remember not the former things, for behold, I do a what? New thing. And so what I want to give you 3 things that if I could ask God to do something in me, something in us, this would be a good place to start. And we're going to be in the letter that Paul wrote to the Philippians. So if you've got your Bible, go to Philippians chapter 3. Philippians chapter 3. There are 3 simple things, and I'll make it just so we can grab hold of it and remember it, hopefully. And I want you to say it after me, okay? The first one is, I'm not there yet. Say that. I'm not there yet. Let's say it again. I'm not there yet. You believe that? You say, well, depending on what there is, okay. Fair enough. Second thing, I will forget what's behind. Say it with me. I will forget what's behind. Third thing, I will focus on the finish. I will focus on the finish. If somehow we came out of this week with those 3 things in our heart and our soul, God did his work. God's got some amazing things for us. This is one of my favorite letters. When I taught New Testament for Southwestern, I taught one course called Prison Letters. This is one of them. And I remember getting to this text once, and it just so grabbed me because there's something about a word in this particular text that's become my favorite word. And I want to go ahead and read the text, and I want to show you what my favorite word is. But first of all, let's just read the text. I'll read it loud. You follow along. Philippians 3, 12 through 14. Not that I have already obtained it or am already perfect, but I press on. Underline, if you write in your Bible, underline press on. Okay? It'll show up again. I press on to make it my own because Christ Jesus has made me his own. Brothers, I do not consider that I have made it my own, but one thing I do. Forgetting what lies behind and straining forward to what lies ahead, I press on, there it is again, toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. May the Lord bless his word and God help us to press on. That word is one word in Greek. It's dioko, D-I-O-K-O. That word is a passionate pursuit of something. Okay? We actually have records of that word, that Greek word, being used outside of the New Testament, get this, to describe somebody going after a trophy. Okay? There's actually evidence that word was used to describe hunting. You're after something. You're pursuing something. I grew up pursuing a lot of somethings. And I remember one day standing in water up to here. It's below freezing. We're having to move to keep the water, and I'm waiting on ducks. I love duck hunting. I grew up near Stuttgart, so I love duck hunting. And I asked myself the question, what am I doing? Get up at an ungodly hour. I know God isn't up at that hour. You have to get up to go. And I'm standing freezing, and I'm thinking, for what? A duck? A duck. You seen a duck? When I got to Orlando, I thought, man, I'm going to miss duck hunting. I promise. I watched a group of mallards land in the Target parking lot. I'm like, what is the deal here? What is this? They're pets, somebody's pets, but it means to go after something. I was a kid once, and we were hunting in the bottoms along the Mississippi River, and we had it all set up. We had some friends who were going to kind of get set up, and we were going to make a drive down through this part of the woods that we knew there were some big deer in there, and so here we go. So I'm walking along, and sure enough, I jumped one. I see him. He's really good. I'm like, oh, my goodness, I hope either I get a shot at him or my buddy does. And I'm following his tracks. It was kind of muddy. You could see, obviously, where he was running. I mean, some of his tracks still had the water and the mud swirling in them. I'm walking along, and I'm waiting for that sound of that gun. My buddy's going to get him. And all of a sudden, for some reason, I look to my right. There's a hunter sitting at the base of a tree, asleep. And at that point, I didn't know, should I wake him? Because I thought he's going to kill me. He's going to shoot me. I mean, I'm going to scare the man to death. He was asleep. So I'm standing there, and I finally did this. Kind of cleared my throat. Man, he looked up. He had a few choice words like, where in the did you come from? I said, I'm just walking through the woods. And then I asked him, hey, have you seen anything this morning? He goes, man, I hadn't seen a thing. I said, have a good morning, sleep on. I just kept walking. I haven't seen a thing. Do you know why we don't get him, we don't grab him, we don't have him and what we want of him? It's because we're not looking for him. Dioko means you're looking for it. It means you're on a pursuit. And it's not that there's a quantitative thing about this, but there's certainly qualitative. I mean, there's an experience with Jesus. We want everything. Jesus said if you hunger and thirst for righteousness, you're going to what? Be filled. So let me just tell you, you have as much of Jesus as you want today. If you want just a little, that's all you got. But if you want a lot, that's what you have. But I pray every one of us are like, man, I'm going to pursue Dioko. That's my word, Dioko. I told my wife one time, y'all let people in with tattoos in the church? Okay. I was going to ask the pastor if he has one, but I don't want to go there. So we got a lot of tattoos in our church, needless to say. But I'm always joking with all of them and said, one day I'm going to get one. I'm going to get the word Dioko. I just can't figure out where. Because I don't want to put it somewhere where as you get older, you can't even read what it spells. It starts sagging, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to think, what's the tight, where can I put it? And my wife overheard me. And for Christmas, can I show you what she did? She gave me a ring with Dioko on it. She said, you don't have to get a tattoo now. You just got the ring. I wear this ring everywhere. I wear it all the time, and it's just the Greek word, Dioko. Because here's what I want to do. Number one, I admit I'm not there yet. Did you know that 3 times in 2 verses, Paul said, I'm not there yet? Now, what's he talking about? I haven't gotten everything I want. I haven't been able to do everything for the Lord I want. It's like saying, I'm not where I need to be with him yet. And let me show you how drastic this is. This chapter is an amazing chapter because it's in this chapter that Paul says, I want to know Christ and the power of his resurrection. I want to be conformed to his death. This is at the end of Paul's life. Philippians is written from a prison in Rome, I believe. It's at the end. So you're telling me at the end of his life, he still doesn't know Christ? Oh, he knows him, but he just knows there's so much more. I'm so convinced there's so much more. You know what? One of my fears, and it's just a fleeting thing, but every once in a while I get to thinking about what it's going to be like when I stand before him. Here's what I don't want to happen. Hey, David, come here. And he takes me over to this room. And he opens the door to this room, and there's this incredible room filled with all kind of neat stuff. And he goes, this is what I wanted to do for you, but you never wanted it. Man, I want to press on. I want to go after him. I want to admit today, I'm not there yet. I mean, I've been to school most of my life. I taught seminary. I've done things and had incredible experiences. When I moved to Orlando, one of the first things I got to do was pray at the Daytona 500, do the invocation. And it was when NASCAR was packing that place out down there. And I'll never forget that moment looking at this little dude from Fox Sports, and he's saying, watch me, watch me. And he said, you only got 30 seconds, and we're going to cut it at the end of 30 seconds. And so I'm watching him, and he tells me go, and I'm trying to get that prayer. And then you hear yourself echo from the back stretch, the super stretch. I'm like, this is crazy. They asked me to do it twice. Both times it rained. One time we had a pothole open up in the track. And they told me, said, you know what, every time you come, something happens. We're not asking you to come anymore. But it was an honor. I've had so many incredible things. But guys, I'm not there yet. And I don't care how old you are. May God help you to learn and be teachable till the day you die. To have the attitude of Paul, I want to know more. I want to know him. There are things I still don't understand about Scripture. I've always said, if you're green, you're growing. If you're ripe, you're rotten. Don't ever be ripe. I'm not there yet. And by the way, First Baptist Pineville, you're not there yet. God's not through with this church. In fact, I think the best is yet to come. You've had a great history. I know some of the history. 1911 is when this church started. Stuart missed it by a couple of years, but it was close. I see some of you that, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm in a church started in 1871. And did you know the last year was the greatest year that church has ever had? 18,000 members, baptized 1,500, 6 campuses, 13 worship services are happening today. It started in 1871, because here's what I believe. God has more for First Baptist Pineville. I think you are on the cusp of some incredible things happening. If I didn't believe that, why would I want to come and hang out? I just know I've seen it with my own eyes. Just because the church is old doesn't mean God is through. He's not through. We're not through. We're not there yet. Let's go with First Baptist Pineville. We got something to go after. Dioko. Second thing I told you to say was what? Forgetting what's behind. So you see this is a very interesting construction, especially in Greek. Do you look back with me at verse 13. Brothers, I do not consider that I've made it my own, but one thing I do. And then he tells us this, forgetting what lies behind, straining forward to what lies ahead. I press on. If you ask me to define the word dioko, in English it's press on, but it literally is 2 things. So why did Paul say this one thing I do? He's referring to dioko. And he gives us 2 things. You're like, can Paul count? Yeah, I'm from Arkansas. There are 2 kind of people. Actually, there are 3 kind of people. I just remembered which group I'm in. 3 kind of people. Those who can count and those who can't. That's it. That's all we got in Arkansas. So here is Paul's way of saying. Some of you are like, well, I don't understand that. I bet those student of the year understood it, or whoever. Yeah, y'all got it. Hey, forgetting what lies behind is the first one of the 2. They're perfectly formed. If you're a grammar nut, they're participles, and they are perfectly balanced with one another. Forgetting what lies behind, straining toward what lies ahead. So I admit I'm not there yet. It's number 1. Number 2, forgetting what lies behind. Let's talk about that. What do you think is the most important piece of furniture in your house? Maybe the house you grew up with, maybe the one you're in now, it doesn't matter. Just what's the most important piece of furniture? Table, yeah. Somebody say refrigerator? Come on, say refrigerator. Yeah. Somebody said bed. Bed. Come on, most important in your house right now. What was it? Recliner. Especially Sunday afternoons, right? No, it didn't. I'm going to show you what the most important piece of furniture in your house is. And I hope you never forget this. Stuart, can you get... This is the most important piece of furniture in our house and in our life. Y'all ever seen hoarders? That's when you can't throw anything away. Spiritually, we're the same way. We are so stuck in the past. And I just think this is a reminder. I remember meeting the first hoarder I ever met was back in the late 80s. And one of my young men said, hey, can you go visit my grandmother? And I said, yeah, I'd be glad to. And he said, she's sick. And I said, what, got cancer? He said, no, she's got something else. She can't let go of anything. I said, what do you mean she can't let go of anything? He said, you'll see. We got to her house, I promise you. It was the saddest thing. She was a beautiful lady, just sweet as she could be. But when you walk in her house, very nice home. The row, literally a hallway, and on either side, you know these styrofoam, like takeout things when you get food to go? They're in a little styrofoam thing, stacked straight to the 8-foot ceiling, so it's straight to the ceiling. Newspapers, magazines. You couldn't go anywhere in the kitchen. Oh my, it was solid. And he looked at me, he said, you see what I mean? I said, yeah. I didn't know they had a word for it at that time. Now they got TV shows about it. It's sad when I meet people that can't let go of anything. Your life will never deoco until you learn to use the wastebasket. Let go of it. And I know the first thing you're thinking is, well, I think he's talking about the bad. Well, I think he is talking about the bad. I think Paul, what did he have to let go of? Who was this guy? Before he became a follower of Christ, before he became a missionary, the greatest missionary the church has ever known, what did he do for a living? He killed Christians. He was headed to hand in letters to arrest some more Christians to be killed. Johnny Cash wrote a book on the Apostle Paul. Actually, Stuart, I think, even as a New Testament guy, I think it was one of the best books on Paul that I've ever read. And you know what he thought the thorn in the flesh, you know, Paul talked about a thorn in the flesh that he asked God to move, and God didn't. He believed that Johnny Cash believed that Paul, it was the memory of people that he had taken their life. I can't imagine what this moment was like for him, but I just know this. He said, it's gone. And you're probably thinking, okay, so how do you forget terrible things that have happened? Some of you in this room have been wounded by people. You've been wounded by fellow Christians. That's the worst wound. You've been wounded by family. And God have mercy on us. Some of you have experienced the trauma of a sexual assault or a sexual abuse or physical abuse from a parent, from someone you're close to. How do you forget those things? You see Paul saying forget it, and you're thinking, there's no way. He doesn't mean put it out of your memory. You can't put it out of your memory. In fact, you want me to show you how it works when you try to not think of something? Okay, for the next 5 seconds, don't think of a purple cow. Every one of you just see a big old purple cow in the field. You can't tell yourself not to think of it. You have to get it out of the way. It's going to be there. You're going to remember it, but you don't have to have it in front of you every day. So you move it aside. It's a beautiful picture. You move it aside. You put it in the trash can. Those things still exist, but they're not in the way. We're not going to be dealing with it in the kitchen every day. It's in the trash can. So no matter what you've done, no matter what you've done to offend somebody, to hurt God, to speak evil of Him, or whatever way you want to say it, can I tell you, I have one proof that God will forgive whatever sin you have committed, and here's my proof, the old rugged cross. That cross was him saying, I forgive. My mind works like this. I didn't have good moments all through my young adult years. I had some really bad moments. And you know when I remember them? When I'm sitting on the front row about to get up and preach. Satan comes along and said, hey, what gives you the right to get up there and tell them anything? Because this is what you used to do. This is what you did. Or even recent things. You remember when you got mad at your wife the other day? Or you remember when you yelled at one of the kids? Can I just tell you, Satan is the accuser of the brethren. As long as he is still doing what he does, he will remind you of how terrible you are. He'll remind you of your past. All you got to do is remember, hey, yeah, I did that. But Satan, let me remind you of your future. You're headed to a lake of fire, and once and for all will be cast into hell where you belong for the rest of eternity. And my Lord beat you on the cross and defeated your power over me. I'm not listening to you. You have nothing to say to me. And I tell him to go to hell. Because that's where he belongs. That's what you do with that thought. Get it out of the way. Forget what is behind. But I'm gonna move on to the next. I don't think it's the bad past that hold most people back. I think it's the good past. I think it's people who won't let go of what they used to be for Christ. They won't let go of what they used to do in the church or how great the church used to be. I'm always hearing about, oh gosh, that church, man, back in whatever, it was awesome. I'm sure it was. Now let's forget the past and go. Give thanks for what you did. Give thanks for how it used to be, or give thanks for how you used to serve the Lord. But the question is, what are you doing today? In my world, the longer I live, the better I get at football and basketball back in the day. I'm almost at the point I'll be an All-American by the time I die. I tell my grandkids, I was shooting basketball with my grandson. Oh, yeah, man, I remember when I did. No, I didn't. But we always embellish it, don't we? Oh, I remember I used to get up every day at 4 o'clock and pray and read the Bible. I used to do this. I used to witness to all my friends. That's awesome. God bless you. What are you doing today? He's the God of today, too. And he's the God of tomorrow. Forgetting what lies behind. Put it here. And then the last one is focusing on the finish. Straining toward what lies ahead. You want to see something really cool? I'm sorry, I love grammar, and Greek was one of my favorite things, and I took a lot of it, and I taught a lot of it. Paul makes up a word that's not used anywhere else in the Bible, okay? And it's the word in verse 13 when he says, forgetting what lies behind, straining forward to what lies ahead. That phrase is a word that has two prefixes added onto a word, and it's never used anywhere else. We call it a hapax legomena. What that means is you better pay attention to it, because Paul could have used a lot of different words, but he made one up. What does that word mean? The best way I know how to describe it is when you see the Olympics, when you see any event that involves track and field, there's that moment when a runner strains toward the finish line. Am I right? I mean, it's classic. It's iconic. They strain at the last minute for that finish line. That's as best we know. He probably got it from the Greek games. I stood once in Olympia, Greece, where the Olympics began. And I remember talking to this guide. She was really knowledgeable, and man, she was explaining everything. And so I asked her this question. I said, so what did the athletes train themselves for? Why would they go through all they went through to win something? What were they winning? This is what she told me. She said they were doing it not for a wreath. She said, I hear it all the time that they were running for a medal. We didn't use medals. It was a wreath. But it wasn't the wreath they wanted. It was the God it represented. So my next question was, I thought I knew the answer, but I said, and I'm assuming that was Zeus? And said, oh, yeah. And I'm like, wow. They did all of that straining forward for a God that doesn't exist. And we have a God who has opened the heavens to us, who has blessed us with goodness and mercy every day of our life. And are we trying to give it all we got? Are we really reaching for that finish? And here's what I mean by the finish. There's a word for scope. Again, I think Paul was a hunter. He just didn't write about it, okay? There's a word in here for scope. I press toward the goal for the prize. The word goal is like a scope. It's like where he was aiming. It's where his focus was. And so the only thing we can figure out is the prize of the upward call of God in Christ. What is that? Is that when he calls our name at the end of time? Is that something else? Is it the well done, thou good and faithful servant? Guys, I'm telling you, it could be all of those. But I'm going to conclude by telling you, when I say focus on the finish, I mean give it everything you got now. Because here's what we need to understand about the finish. We don't know where it is. We don't know when it is. Do you know when your finish is? I mean, I did a funeral 2 weeks ago for a 4-year-old child. I never knew that was the finish line for that child. And I buried way too many teenagers that I'm not going to stand here and say, yeah, your finish is one day when Jesus comes, or one day. Man, many, many years. You got a lot of time to get this right. No, you don't. It could be today. And the finish for us, it's not a wreath. It's not a crown. People get all worked up over the crowns. You remember those songs, Will There Be Any Stars in My Crown? Or one I like, the Baptists would sing that, Will There Be Any Stars in My Crown? And the Methodist church next door sang, No, Not One. It was at the same time. But that's years ago. I've done all kinds of research on crowns. There are 5 different crowns in the New Testament. I'm not sure there are 5 different ones. I think they may all be the same crown, because you know what? The crown isn't the goal. The crown isn't the thing. Man, I hope I get I hope it's got jewel. I suffered with this guy, married to him for 50 years. I hope I get a crown. No. Let me change your thinking on that. I promise you, when that day comes and you see Jesus and he hands you whatever, you're not going to look at it and go, oh, I was kind of hoping for a little more, Jesus. No. Because the goal is not the crown. It's the one who gives it to you. He's the goal. The call of Christ is the call that he has on our life when he said, follow me. The call of Christ is the moment we hear our name and the moment that we stand before him. I just think it's the moment you see him. That's the finish. And I want to live today so that if it were to be today, let's go. I'm ready to see him. So when I was in seminary, I did a lot of study over at TCU, Texas Christian University, and because their library had a lot more stuff. And so I was over there one day, and I saw a little brochure about a 4-mile race. And I thought, I'm going to get in that, because I ran all the time. So I signed up for it. It's called the Trinity Trot. And it was a 4-mile race around the Colonial, where the Colonials played there in Fort Worth and around the campus. Started off real fast. Started off with the rabbits. Got my first time when I went by the guy, and I thought, man, I've never run a mile that fast in my life. This is going to be great. Didn't realize it was downhill, most of it. But anyway, got to the second mark. Time was still good. Even got to the third one, and I was way ahead of my best time. And then the wall. I hit the wall. And when I say I hit the wall, I was out of energy. I was out of everything. I remember looking over at these houses in this beautiful part of Fort Worth. I could see through these picture windows in those beautiful homes, kids playing, eating donuts, watching cartoons, just having a good time. And I'm like, what am I doing out here? I mean, I'm going to be looking at my lungs any minute. I ain't got nothing left. I was done. And then I remembered something. This is the first race my son is going to see me run. He was 4 years old. We had not had the second one by then, or the third, but he was there. And I remembered my wife saying she's going to bring him and meet us at the finish line, and I'm like, I don't know where it is. I was in the middle of that last mile. I didn't know where it was. I'm like, gosh, where is it? I promise you. Turned a corner, and when I turned the corner, I saw a banner, and I heard some music, and I thought, oh no, this is it. And then I look up, and there he is, in his stroller. You think I walked? No. I took off running like a wild man because I didn't want my son to see me walking. He came to see me running. Can I just plead with you? I don't know when your finish line is, but I know you don't want to see the Lord look at you when you're walking. Let's run. Press on. Forgetting what's behind. Straining for what He has for us in these days.